Hey everyone, it's Jenna from Musings from the Middle School. A few weeks ago I did a workshop on using interactive student notebooks in the ELA classroom, so I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to take everything from the workshop and compile it all into one video for the blog. Let me first start by talking about the materials that we use. My students use these notebooks every single day, so I need them to be durable. I found that the only notebooks that hold up, throughout all the wear and tear in the course of a year are these marble copybooks that have the hard back and front, and the pages are sewn together. I tried to use the spirals in the past, but those notebooks are always falling apart, especially with kids who don't necessarily keep their desks clean. By June, the notebooks are in several pieces, and it sort of defeats the purpose of having everything all together in one notebook. I'm a stickler for white glue. It has to be white glue. I've tried in the past to use glue sticks, but the glue just doesn't seem to be as permanent as this. If we use glue sticks, then what I find happens is, within a month of the kids gluing them in, the organizers start to fall apart and they start to fall off the pages. So white glue is the best. I do a couple lessons in the beginning of the year about how to use the white glue because it's amazing how many kids want to just smear it all over. But we do spend some time talking about how you just need a few dots. You don't need to, smear it all over the place. And, it really doesn't take them too long to catch on, and using the white glue hasn't been a problem. I like to glue an envelope on the inside back cover. This is in case, kids are partway through assembling an organizer and then, they need to go somewhere. They need to go see the nurse. They, need to go to their band lesson. They need to go meet with the counselor. Something happens in the middle of class and they can't finish. Here they can just stick all the pieces into their envelope and, they don't get all over the place. They're not lost, and the kids will be able to assemble the organizer later on that day. One of the first activities I have the kids do with their notebooks is they number every single page. This is a little bit of a tedious task, but it's absolutely essential because we will be keeping a table of contents for this notebook. And when I say to the kids I want everyone to turn to page 42 to refer to an organizer or some notes that we have in there, I want to know that everybody's page 42 looks the same. So while this is, the kids always complain about it, it's a hard job for them to do. It takes a lot of concentration, it takes some perseverance, but it is essential for them to do. We always save the first 3 or 4 pages for our table of contents. The table of contents is one of the elements of the interactive student notebooks that make it so effective. Kids they have a complete record of everything that we've put in the notebook all year. They're easy to go back and reference something that they did, a few weeks before, and it just, it really helps to keep the notebook organized. There's a lot of theory about how to use the left and the right side of the notebook. The idea behind this is that, the right side is supposed to be the input side. This is where kids record class notes. It's whatever the teacher decides is going to go into the notebook. It's everything that's going to be on the test. And then the idea is that on the left side, the kids work with that information. So they do some kind of more creative task that shows them interacting with the information from the right side. I always start the year out really, sort of gung-ho about this idea. I'm very organized, I've got all my notes together, and, my planning definitely includes utilizing the right side and the left side the way it's supposed to be done. All of our notes get kept on the right side, and then the interaction is on the left. However, as the year goes on, I find this harder and harder to sort of maintain. I've been using these notebooks for 5 years now, and I have never been able to sort of keep up with this right side and left side throughout the course of the year. So, I'm going to tell you that if you find this to be sort of too limiting or the constraints a little bit too tough for you to, follow through on, you don't really need to worry about it. I find the notebooks are just as effective if you don't necessarily maintain this right side, left side, way of thinking. You just, you can put the information in as you need to. You can have the kids interact with it however they want. And I still find that the notebooks are really effective, even if you can't sort of adhere to these right side, left side ground rules. So even though I don't necessarily follow through with the right side and left side idea, I do sort of maintain that input and output way of thinking. There are notes that I give to the kids that have to be in the notebook, and they are the notes that the kids are going to be tested on. And then there are, always interactive pages where the kids are interacting with the text using whatever sort of input we were working on. So you can see here on the left side of this kid's notebook, he has notes on plot element, which I gave to the kids, and they glued them into their notebook. We talked about them, we highlighted a few things, and then you'll see here on the right side, we read a story in class, and on the right side, the students are using the story that we just read, and they're breaking it up into the 5 elements of plot that we had just talked about when we put the information in on the left side. Here's another example you can see that, blatantly breaks the rules of the right side and left side. The input is actually there on the left. Those are the notes on characterization that I gave to the students. And then you can see that the output is there on the right. That's actually a graphic organizer that the kids completed after reading a story. If you sort of flip that pizza lid up, there's a pizza inside, and each slice represents one of the methods of characterization, and the students have to fill that out based on the story that we read. So typically what I do is I give the kids all the input at the start of each unit that I teach in ELA. So you just saw that we had characterization notes that I gave the students, and then they completed a graphic organizer, based on a story that we read. Here's another example. This is another way. This is one of the other organizers that I use for characterization, and this one came right after the pizza one that you saw on the previous slide. And here is yet another example of one of the character organizers that we use. So for me, what I tend to like to do is I give, a day or two of input. We put all the notes in, we talk about them, we discuss them, and then the kids just sort of practice that skill again and again and again and again with a variety of different organizers. Here's a few of the organizers that I use when I teach story elements, which, for us, for what I teach is character, setting, and conflict. This one is for plot elements. This is another one that we use when we're discussing plot elements. This is one of our organizers for theme. This one here compares and contrasts 2 characters. Here's one for nonfiction text features. This is also nonfiction text features. This is one of my favorite organizers. We use this one for synthesizing information. This is a skill that we practice again and again and again in 6th grade. These are a few of the ones that we use for teaching main idea and supporting details. These next 2 are used to teach author's purpose. And then I do have several organizers that we use for just, basic reading comprehension. These are ones that we tend to use when we're doing a whole class novel, or I even might have the kids use these when they're doing lit circles. Twice a marking period, I do collect the kids' notebooks to grade. This is the rubric that I use, and I have this rubric printed out on a Post-it. I just stick the Post-it in their book, and I'm looking for 3 things. Number 1 is their table of contents up to date. Number 2 are all their notes complete, and number 3 are their organizers complete. And then I will give them a bonus point if they have all their organizers colored in. And then I just use this grade as a classwork grade. So that's pretty much everything you need to know to sort of get started with using interactive notebooks in your classroom. Again, this is my 5th year using these notebooks. I can't even imagine teaching without them anymore. I really, in my heart, believe it's one of the best things that I've done for my language arts classroom. So give them a try. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to, answer everything that I possibly can. And give them a try. You'll love them. Happy teaching.